Hey, welcome back. I have a couple more 2023 videos for you all. But this one was easy because it's actually pretty closely aligned with the one I just did, so it doesn't take too much work. I just realized I forgot one of the knives, so oh well. I have two planned right now. I got one more potentially coming. This video is the top, basically 10 most cut width knives in my collection. You're going to see a lot of the same ones that I carried, but some of them you won't see because some of them I have not cut with, even though I carried them. And then in the next week sometime, I got a couple knives coming in tomorrow, one of which I think is a candidate for that list. You're going to see a video on the most coveted knives for 2023. Anyways, we're almost a minute in, let's get going. So I sort of stopped cutting with this one as much, but I still do once in a while. This is the Tactile Knife Company Rockwall. Magnacut, I've sharpened it one time. Actually, I have a video sharpening it, if I recall correctly, at least a short or something. You can see my slightly imperfect sharpening there, if I'm seeing that right. Good knife. This was like when they were doing their Magnacut on the lighter end, 62 Rockwall hardness. But generally did what I expected it to. It's super straightforward, kind of like very close to a straight back, but a slight clip point blade, and it pretty much does what you'd expect it to. I don't know if this one's super sharp right now. I thought what I would do for this video though is just bring out a bunch of paper and cut some paper. So looks like I did a decent job on the resharpening on that, and it is holding an edge well. So I think one of the key elements to sharpening is to strop really well at the end, and looks like I did a good job there. So kind of a gentleman's knife, and end up cutting with it a few times, opening packages and probably breaking down some cardboard or whatever. I don't remember using it too much cutting. I actually do remember using it on the holidays sometimes, like opening some zip ties and stuff. So it has done some work, but nothing crazy. So that's number 10 on the list. If I'm doing my math right, let's see, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Number 9 on the list, one that I actually carry quite a bit, but I don't cut with too much. I don't think I've fully sharpened this. I think I've only stropped it. Looks like I could probably use another sharpening soon, but pretty good overall. Certainly not as good as they are when they're brand new as the Roosevelt. It's something I carry quite a bit, but I don't usually carry it for things I'm doing where I know I'm going to be doing like hard work. So if I do, I'll usually carry a less expensive knife for that, for many reasons. You know, it's not like I keep a lot of my knives super long. This one I've had for a while, and it's like one of my favorite knives ever. So I do see this being a long-term knife for me, but it's not something I'm like super committed to. So, you know, you may share a somewhat similar philosophy to me. I mean, I see a lot of people that sell me these knives, so I know that I'm not alone in saying that sometimes it's about the use of the knife, and sometimes it's about the collecting and the carrying of the knife. For a lot of my Roosevelts, I've gone through a ton of models trying to find the ones I like the most. If you just saw my last video on the ones I carry the most, it was these two. They've both been cut with a little bit, but this one right here, a little bit more. In fact, I got this one used and it did come like needing a sharpening slightly. What's amazing if you look at the blade is it's like you almost can't tell, aside from, you know, some of the Darkwash that gets lost on the strop. It's very hard to tell that this knife is used, which is really cool. So pretty good edge, a little rounded on the belly, I've noticed. I kind of like a slightly flatter belly for most use, but not the main reason that I love this knife. So the blade works fine, but it's not like my favorite blade shape ever, candidly. So that's number 9. Number 8, I used a little bit, so I have it lower on the list, but if you look at the total use of this knife, it's actually pretty high because my brother gets this one when I give it to him. When I'm cleaning his knife, he needs a loaner or whatever. You can see he's put some nice scratches in it. So he's put this thing to use. Did I sharpen this? I think I only stropped it. Did I sharpen it? Hang on, let me take a look. I can't remember if I've resharpened this or not. I don't think so. Did I? I think I only stropped it. Yeah, no, I only stropped it, and that's why it's. I couldn't strop it back entirely. So this one's definitely had some use. This AR RPM 9, from what I can tell, a lot of people like kind of liken it to an S30V or something like that, but it seems like it didn't hold up nearly as well as his S30V. This was like 2 weeks of use on top of the little bit that I used, and he put a pretty good amount of wear on that thing. So I think AR RPM 9 is maybe a little bit overrated. A lot of people really stand by it, but yeah, kind of interesting. So CJRB Pyrite, one of my most cut with knives. Now, part of it's that I don't just use this one, I also use this other one. So we'll call this, I guess, number 7 on the list, because this is the one that I carry more often personally. This one I think just stropped. I don't think I've fully sharpened it. You can see it kind of caught there. Yeah, this AR RPM 9, it takes some wear and does not, you can strop it back under the right conditions, but that's not bad. Not my favorite blade steel, to be honest. Maybe it's just me or how I'm handling it and caring for it, but can't say that the experience so far has been my favorite. It also smudges very easily to the point where you need to like go use rubbing alcohol to get out the smudges, which is kind of weird. So not the biggest fan of AR RPM 9, candidly. Not saying it's terrible. It's probably fine, but not my favorite so far. Next on the list, so that's, oops, sorry, I put one away, so now I'm gonna miscount. Next on the list would be number 6, most cut with, sorry. This Bugout, technically a lot of the wear went onto my S30V version that I had previously, because this one I've only been carrying for a couple months. But 20 CV, and honestly, like, I've noticed almost no wear. I haven't cut with this a ton, only a couple. I've only used this a few times, like 3 or 4 times maybe. So still pretty good. Let me get onto all these other sides here. So it's definitely snagging a little bit here and there. But part of it could just be me, how I'm doing this here, but it seems like it has taken a little bit of wear. I thought the 20 CV would be pretty like impervious, honestly, but maybe it's how it's been applied here. We're gonna see a few other 20 CV blades in this video, so we'll see how they compare. I really only check when I reach a point where I'm like, it's really not cutting well, and then I'll do like a paper check. But as you can see, a lot of these I'm kind of going into blind on whether or not they're going to cut. So Bugout 20 CV BladeHQ edition, awesome knife, love it, and we'll see. I'm gonna do a little maintenance. I actually don't think I've never stropped this, so I don't know exactly how much I've used it, but it's so far one that I really like. Banter, I haven't used this a ton, but it has gotten a little bit of cut time. Still has that insanely, this is on the S35VN, still has that insanely, looks like the tip's not quite as sharp anymore. The tip is catching, but a lot of the blade still has that factory wee Civivi insane edge on it. So that one seems to be holding up pretty well. I kind of go back and forth on this one. Sometimes I don't carry it for months at a time, and sometimes I'll carry it multiple times in a week. So I really can't remember how much I've used it. Enough, obviously, to affect the edge, it looks like, but not a crazy amount. Usually, again, they're going to get more like tip usage than anything else. Have I sharpened this? I don't know if I have. This one's S30V, and this is my long term. I've had this for more than a year now, I think. Have I had it for more than a year? I don't know. This is my Bugout, my mini Bugout that I've had for quite a while. I might have stropped it, but I don't know. Can't remember. I'm gonna get a nice fresh piece of paper for this guy. This is definitely number 4 on the list. So one of my more used knives. Yeah, getting some catches there for sure. So this one's probably due for a sharpening. You can see parts of it can still cut pretty well, but like the tip and stuff that I use more are not cutting paper at this point. This even feels like it might be rolled a little bit. So Benchmade mini Bugout with S30V. Gotten a lot of cut time for me. Overall, I don't really think about it much. This thing's just a matter of convenience, but I do like this blade shape on this one and the Bugout for cutting. They're generally pretty good and just a nice little drop point blade. So now the ones that have actually been getting a lot of more recent time, the next two on the list are ones that I've used more recently as opposed to in the past, but I've been getting quite a bit of cut time recently. This one is the Demco Shark Cub 20 CV. Man, now I've only used this a bit. Like I've not used it a ton. I've only had it for, how long ago did it come out? A little over a month ago. But man, that Demco edge, you can see I got a little bit of snag up there on the tip where I use it a little more. That's amazing. Demco just does a phenomenal job. You can really see a difference in the edge here on this versus those other knives. Now it's a little thicker behind the edge than some of the others. You can see a little bit of gunk here in the front there. But that is impressive. That's, of all the knives so far, that's the one that I'm most impressed with. I haven't done any maintenance on it. I've only had it again for like a month, but I've definitely cut a lot of stuff open, boxes, packages, tape, and that thing's still cutting like it's brand new. So Demco Shark Cub in 20 CV. That one's the slicer shark blade shape, which I haven't really carried one before, but a lot of people talk about it being like a great all around. It's like kind of just past a spear point. Like it's just further than a spear point down towards being like a sheep's foot. So you kind of get the best of both worlds there. It has a little bit of a, almost like, it's like it kind of goes back up at the end there. Let me check. A little bit of like a rounded belly at the end, which you wouldn't expect. It's all like pretty much none of it's flat, maybe just a little bit here at the end. But that's a really impressive performance, just given that I've actually used that knife and it still cuts, like I almost can't tell the difference from when it was new. So that's good. I'm going to continue to use that, and you know, once I have more data, maybe I'll do another one of these videos in 6 months or something. This one I've used a little bit, but it was mostly my wife. She picked this as her folding knife for like packages and stuff. So she's used this on every package she's ever opened. I've maybe cleaned it off once. I've never maintained it. This one's M390. Let's see if it says in here. I believe it's M390 though. I don't know if it actually says anywhere on here. But that's what I recall it being. Nice little stonewash finish on it. Let's see how this thing does. Another good showing for, wow, that's kind of shocking. These are TWW Price Dawn, if you don't know. That's surprising. I was thinking this was really going to hang up a lot. There's a couple points there where it does. But the tip in particular is what's really surprising me. I would have thought that I was going to need to sharpen this after this video. But I think I'm going to let her ride for a little while longer. But my wife probably has opened, I don't know how long, she's had this for 3 or 4 months. She's probably opened, uses it probably like 5 to 10 times a month or something. I don't know. Probably been cut with over 100 times if I had to guess. I know that's bad math from what I just said, but maybe 50 to 100 plus times. It's pretty damn good. So TWW Price Dawn, first of all, great knife, just one that's one of my favorites. I have this sort of PJ version here, the stonewashed, and then I have a Damasteel version that is more of a collector for me. And I offered my wife a lot of different knives, and this is the one that she chose to be her knife. Love the multiple deployments. Super easy to front flip this one, by the way. And on the stonewashed one, it kind of catches a little easier here because the Damasteel one's like over polished and it doesn't have as sharp of an edge on the fuller. So I'm a pretty big fan of this version here. If you're gonna actually use it, this is the one. I mean, you can get the hand rub satin one as well, but TWW Price Dawn V2, blade's holding up well. These are made by Best Tech. I don't know what manufacturer Demco uses in Taiwan, but so far I've had really good experience with them. So number one, and it's actually, there are two different knives that I have. One that I keep in my garage, which is the one I meant to bring up just now when I was in the garage, but forgot. And then the one that I keep on my desk and do all my unboxings with, so you probably recognize it if you watch the channel, is my Demco 8020.5, also made in Taiwan. This one I've sharpened myself like 5 times, but not recently. So I'm not gonna have much luck here on the tip. I don't use the back of the knife as much. You can see if I get up towards the tip, I start having some hang-ups there. Yeah, I really can't get it. It's probably about due for another sharpening. This OS 10A though, it definitely dulls. It's not terrible, but you know, it's not the most premium blade steel. I notice a definite difference so far between this and this guy. If I had had OS 10A, as many cuts as I've done with this, you saw how well that still cut. This would definitely not be cutting through paper. I shouldn't say definitely, but I would doubt that this would be cutting through paper right now. This is thicker behind the edge. It kind of makes it hold up pretty well. I have dinged it in the front once and sharpened that out of there. But I made a mistake when I was doing a video and tried to throw it into a piece of wood where my chainsaw was sitting. It bounced off and hit the chainsaw and like dinged the front. I sharpened it out. I've put this thing through the works, like, you know, it does. Now I'm not buying as many knives as I was, but there was a period of time where this is probably opened over 1,000 packages for sure. So it's been sharpened multiple times. It's been put to work. And it's my most cut with knife I've ever had. What I love about it the most is the blade shape. It's just really nice. Like I love, let me pull one of those junk pieces of paper back out. I love how straight of a line you can cut with it. Like see how straight that is? Let me pull out just something random here. We'll just use this guy as an example. I'm gonna try to cut as straight. That's actually fine, but maybe you can see it there. It wavered a little bit off course, a little bit more than this one. Maybe I did a little bit there too, but I've just noticed I can cut a straighter line more consistently with this blade shape than any other one that I've ever used. This is very easy to be very exact on your cuts. So big fan of this. If you want to do just the top 5 view again here of the ones I've cut with the most, or the ones that have been cut with most, because my wife does most of the cutting with that. I probably do 1 or 2% now of what the use that it's gotten. It's probably really this. Like these are the ones that have been used the most, but longer term, just more consistently. So you'll notice, you know, these are more budget knives. There's nothing here over $300. There's a reason for that. If I'm gonna cut a lot with a knife, again, this is the only one on the list that at one point on the secondary, these were going for over 1,000, but $800 MSRP. The only one on the list that's in that kind of price range. And I have a lot of $2,000 knives and stuff. Actually, the one I'd love to cut with the most would probably be this one because it probably has the best edge of anything in my collection. It's insanely sharp. Use the tip. Just a phenomenal edge that Jason Van Camp puts on this VC Edge interface. Love it. But haven't really brought myself to use it, to be honest. I did have a VC Edge interface that I did cut with a few times, but I've sold that one recently. So can't include it. Wouldn't be honest. I guess you could say it from a model perspective. This would be probably like number 15 or something like that for me of most used in terms of a model. But not this particular one. I've actually never cut more than that piece of paper right there. Some general thoughts. Blade shape, I really prefer this for most of the cutting that I do. If I were whittling or something, you know, any of them probably do about the same. Blade steel, the 20CV and M390 are standing out as the ones that retain the best edge. Now, I don't have anything with Magnacut here. I'd love to carry something with Magnacut a little more. You know, this one I've, again, carried and cut with a few times and sharpened once, but not enough that I can really say that it's kind of like that. And I don't have one that's got like that kind of 63 to 64 Rockwall hardness, which is what Magnacut would be if you wanted to retain edge the best while having a balanced toughness. I've heard recently that you can heat treat Magnacut. I think actually this was on a Neves, I think Neves and Metal Complex did like a live, and I think Neves said this. You can heat treat Magnacut to 64 or 65 Rockwall hardness and have the same toughness as M390 or 20CV at 62 Rockwall hardness, which is very interesting because that means that you could get this edge retention to a very similar place on Magnacut if you heat treated it right. I personally would probably keep it around 63 personally because I like toughness. 62, 63 seems about right for me for Magnacut just because I don't like to worry about chipping my knives and stuff. But from a edge retention perspective, 64, that'd be pretty cool. So, you know, I don't really use my knives enough to be an authority on this topic of cutting geometry. I didn't talk about, you know, edge angles and that kind of stuff. I honestly don't even know what the degree is that I sharpen my knives at. I assume it's around 15 to 20, probably around 18, but I generally have developed my edge angle based off of what I've seen on some of these knives, and that kind of has driven my sharpening edge angle, just based on what my average knife essentially has come in at. And I'll actually adjust it a little bit based on the knife that I'm sharpening, but very little. I don't think there's too much more on here. All of these great options. Seems like M390 and 20CV are kind of standing out right now until I carry something with Magnacut more. Love to see how that did as well. And all great knives that do their job quite well. So probably not the knife video that I'm the best authority on that I've ever created, but just sort of sharing my experiences and hope that was interesting. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.